I'll just start by apologising. I don't know if you can hear the wind battering the side of the van today, but yeah, we're just at the tail end of Storm Floris in East Yorkshire right now. Today I wanted to talk about scheduling, and I'd like to present what I think is like the perfect schedule, or at least a schedule that's worked best for me so far, and also what kind of pitfalls and things we need to consider when we're putting together a schedule for a gardening business. Now, a lot of people, when they first set out as gardeners, I think the idea they've got in their heads is they want to work as many hours as possible to get as much money in as you possibly can. So you can see people doing some pretty extreme things, like trying to work 50, 60 hours a week. And what they find very quickly is doing a physical job for that many hours per week, it's not long before you burn yourself out. And not just that, because you're not giving your body a break, you'll also find your body becomes more susceptible to injury. And obviously, as a gardener, if you get a bad injury, you're not earning anything at all. So it's really important that you avoid injury and that you don't burn yourself out. The next thing you'll find if you work too many hours is that because you become tired, it becomes harder and harder to maintain the quality of your work. And as gardeners, the quality of our work is what we live and die by. So it's really important that we're not so tired out that we can't give the customer that quality of work. The next thing that they might find is because you've filled your calendar and you've not got any kind of leeway, no kind of extra resource within that calendar, what this means is if you have inclement weather, it won't be possible to reschedule jobs on the same week. Now that runs the risk of you letting customers down and having to say that we're cancelling a job this week rather than saying we can rearrange it for 1 or 2 days' time. And lastly, when we put together a schedule, we also have to think about having enough hours in there whilst balancing these other things about protecting your body, being able to reschedule jobs. We still have to have enough hours in there so that we can earn a decent living. So how do we do that? Well, a lot of gardeners, what they do is they work sort of a 4 on and 3 off. So they'll work something like Monday to Thursday, and then they'll have Friday off. And they use that Friday for any jobs that they have to reschedule, or for giving their body a break, or if they feel all right, they might even put extra work into that Friday, something like day jobs or maybe an odd hedge cut. And when I first started out, that's the schedule I used, something very akin to that. I used to work 4.5 days a week. And what I found was I was working 4 8 to 10 hour days during the season. Obviously those hours come back towards the end of the season when the light levels drop a bit, but I was working 4 8 to 10 hour days during the season, and I had enough hours on the calendar to earn a living, but by the time I got to that 4th day, I could feel it. You know, I knew I was starting to get burnt out, and I knew that I was more susceptible to injury as a result. So I changed things around this year. And what I did was I looked at the sort of history of how people used to work in physical jobs. And I was quite surprised to find out that people never used to work 4 or 5 days in a row, doing heavy work for 4 or 5 days in a row. That isn't the way that people used to work. And certainly that isn't the way the human body is designed to work. What people have always done, and what does work really well for the human body, is to have a heavy day followed by a light day. So after you've done a really heavy day's work, it's not good just to put your feet up. You still need to stay mobile, but do lighter work on the next day. So the schedule I work now is I have 8 to 10 hours followed by 4 or 5 hours, followed by 8 to 10 hours, followed by 4 or 5 hours, followed by 8 to 10 hours. And since I've switched to that schedule, I've found that I feel fresh throughout the entire week. So I feel really good whenever I'm turning up to that first job in the morning. You know, I don't feel burnt out. I don't feel like, you know, I've got a coming injury or some kind of niggles or any kind of problems. I find it a lot easier to manage my body since I switched to that schedule. But also I've got enough hours in the week there to earn a living, whilst also having a bit of leeway on my light days to reschedule jobs if I need to due to inclement weather. So for me, this is the schedule that works the best. A heavy day, followed by a light day, followed by a heavy day, followed by a light day, followed by a heavy day, and then the weekend. That's the schedule that works best for me. Now, please comment below and tell me what schedules you're using and what you found works best for you. Thanks, guys.